What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 61 of Ready Press Play. Jeez, I almost said Ready Play Movies. I need to get this.
Wrong show.
Wrong show, wrong
Lewis.
show. Yes, it's Ready
Go
Press
follow
Play.
Ready Play Movies on your podcast services, though. Just
Okay.
shameless plug right there in the intro.
Thanks for the save, Dan. Your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, what we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or just hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every news show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is March 12th, 2021, and I'm your host, Louis Menchaca, and I'm joined today by my co-host. There you go, Mr. Daniel Lima.
Hey, Lewis, you've been hosting Ready Play Movies way too much recently, and you have not hosted the show in like 2 weeks. During that time frame, you did like 3 or so episodes of RPM, so I get it. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So I've just been going ham trying to make up for like a lost episode. So I want the episode count to be correct. So it's just.
You got that.
Yeah. So in the meantime, just one quick update is we actually did a live stream on the Ready Press Play Twitch channel this past Tuesday. So if you caught it live, if you're already following us, we much appreciate it. We actually had like the same turnout of viewers as last year on our last stream. So it's like, this is awesome. We're doing the same numbers, so I was very happy with that. That our small audience didn't just leave us behind. And number two, we're happy to announce that we will be doing another final, this time final Halo Combat Evolved live stream where we will finish the campaign and we will dabble in some multiplayer. To like really get that like goodness, that Halo 1 goodness that we missed out on, like at that zeitgeist moment that we missed out on at that time. So Dan, are you excited?
You know, Louis, yeah, I am excited. And I was thinking about our Twitch streams, and that was something that we were doing regularly last year, and then we stopped doing them altogether for a while. And now we started them again in a semi not as regular way. I was wondering if maybe we could go back and find some of our previous streams and they're all about 2 hours long. I wonder if we could find a good like solid 10 minutes worth of goodness to cut out from them and maybe spin them off into some cool YouTube videos. We could even potentially host them over here if Fame was cool with that, which he probably would be. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Twitch highlights are basically a good way to like discover the Twitch account. So that's YouTubers do it all the time. Or actually, not YouTubers. Twitch people do that. They just export the highlights, so it like just kind of like goads you to like just come to the Twitch channel kind of thing. So yeah, I follow Twitch accounts.
And we were definitely on. Yeah, we're definitely on a different page, by the way, when we set out to start that our previous or last Halo stream now this Tuesday, because I was under the mindset that we were playing the game to finish it and that we were gonna go as long as we needed to finish it. But you were very much like, no, we can play a little bit and then we'll finish it on the next one. And it was actually probably the right call because we tend to do those streams after a work day and after a full day of work and doing other things, and we're tired, and had already been streaming for like 2 hours when we finished our second mission with still one to go. And I was thinking about it, we could pull through and finalize end the game right now, but it's probably better for us to do it a little bit more fresh. Like I wouldn't want us to end like beat the game and just be dead tired, like with bags under our eyes, just being like, okay, cool, bye.
Plus, we need to watch a YouTube video together,
decision.
like explaining the plot of the first game to us. We need that.
Yes. That's true.
All right. So, Dan, I think it's time for you to take over the show.
Yeah.
Dan, I have not played a goddamn thing since last week, so this is all you. This is all you right here.
Wait, I mean, you've been playing Fortnite, probably, which you're going to talk about later, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out here that I've actually, It's contagious, Liz, and that's what's happened, right? Like it was happening with you for like the majority of last year, and now it's gotten to me too, where I've the all I want to play recently is Fortnite. You know, like I just want to go and play a quick game of Fortnite. Most days, you know, I've been doing it almost every single day, and I go and I play a few games. I try to level up like one level in the battle pass a day whenever I play it. So I go and I check out the quests and everything. I know I'm doing this out of the right segment.
I know, right? It's okay.
But I just wanted to point out that the truth is like that's pretty much all I've played as well. I only added something else in the dock right now, and it's because I talked last week about how I dusted off my Wii U and I set it up. And then I went in and I randomly tried to play Twilight Princess, and then it didn't work because my disc was corrupted or whatever. Then I was able to play World of Goo, the demo, and I had a good time with that. And then I proceeded to turn on Skyward Sword. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, released in 2011, the kind of the black sheep of the 3D Zelda family, the game that at the time got a lot of good scores and still holds a 90 plus Metacritic, but that people totally turned on and hate now. And
Yeah.
I'm always one of the few defendants of that game, and I went back to play it, and I played it for about, I want to say, like 1 to 2 hours, so pretty much just the intro part. And I have to say, although I still have positive feelings towards the game, and I still defend that the game has a very solid Zelda story and has from like the traditional in quote Zelda format that we saw in Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword, the going dungeon to dungeon for linear format. I do think that game is a superb execution of that format in a lot of ways. However, the one piece of criticism that I remember it received that I totally related with now playing it a second time in my first hour or two is that it takes way too long to get going.
Oh.
I played, the first 2 hours of the game, it feels like nothing happens pretty much. You're just going through these cutscenes, basically going through the tutorial section. And when you compare that to Breath of the Wild, which is just the polar opposite, you're pretty much just in the open world playing the game 10 minutes in. It was very interesting to go back to that and be like, damn, like I played this game for an hour and pretty much all I've done was read through dialogue lines. Um,
It's kind of funny
so
that you're basically describing what Twilight Princess's problem is that it takes about 2 hours for the game to
mhm.
get started, and I was always that guy that says having played and beat the game, I was like, you just get through the first hour, just and then somebody, like, I was at a convention and I was having like small talk about that, and then they were like, no, if a game can't hook me immediately, then it's not worth my time, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah, there's a lot of
facts.
people. There's a lot of people that feel that way. And it's true for also like like shows and movies and all kinds of entertainment. Typically I am the kind of person that will commit to watching something or playing something, and then once I've committed, I'll try to stick through it with as much as possible. But I've been kind of games are kind of the exception there though, where it's like I'll give it a chance, and I'll give it at least an hour of my time, maybe 2 hours of my time, but at that point the game needs to have something that's holding me into it and keeping me playing, because there's way too many things competing for your time nowadays. But
Yep.
I still think Skyward Sword is a good game if people give it the chance and can get past kind of that initial sort of slow tutorial section. And I'm excited to see it come out on the Switch, and whether it's going to have some kind of what do you think is going to happen, Liz? Let me ask you this: do you think when Skyward Sword comes out on the Switch that the narrative is going to be, oh man, this game really does suck, and that people are going to like it less? Or do you think it's going to flip the narrative where a lot of people that maybe never played it then because they didn't think it was good and never went back will now play it and be like, oh, you know what? Like this game's not that bad. Like, meaning, like, do you think that the fact that people have undersold the game as being the worst 3D Zelda game is going to make them enjoy it more when it comes back, or that they're going to still not like it?
I think that this is going to be a situation where I think the revisionist history sort of played out in like Wind Waker HD. So I think the same
Mm-hmm.
will happen here with Skyward Sword, because the people that dog on it on Skyward Sword generally tends to, like, the biggest number one criticism that I hear is that the control scheme sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put the pro controller support on it, and all of a sudden it becomes like a real game, then all of a sudden people are gonna shut the hell up about it. So I think you're gonna get the that crowd is gonna be appeased, and then you got a whole brand new crowd that's being introduced to that game as if it's a brand new game, and hopefully it slides right in like perfectly nice with people. Hopefully people don't get too accustomed to like Breath of the Wild and just kind of like know what Zelda is and how it used to be
Hmm.
kind of thing, because Breath of the Wild is a completely different beast altogether. So I don't think
Yeah,
the two can really truly be compared, because
I don't think so either. That's the thing. I feel like they're almost like two different franchises. It's like Breath of the Wild is like a sequel to the very first original Legend of Zelda game, right? But when you think about, the way Ocarina of Time played out and Twilight Princess played out and Skyward Sword played out, I put those more like together as part of the same franchise than I
cut from
do
the same
something
cloth.
like Breath of the Wild. Yeah,
Yeah, so hopefully, I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
I'm pretty sure this is gonna be one of those things where everyone's gonna check it off as a success story. So I'm not worried about
I hope
Skyward
so, man.
Sword or its legacy or anything like that. So I think it'll be just fine. All right.
Do you think it's going to sell more copies on the Switch than it did on the Wii? There were more Wii's out at that time, I think, than there are Switches out now.
I think that it's going to be more
But
successful on the Switch because by the time it did come out on the Wii, it was at the end of its life cycle, and by that time, people's Wii's were
mhm,
collecting dust, and the Wii had largely
yeah,
became
definitely.
irrelevant. So I think
Mhm,
that Nintendo's going to probably be more successful this time around, especially because the Switch is still in its prime. So
mhm,
if it's in
yeah,
its half
true,
cycle or whatever. So
true.
all right, let's go ahead and move on to the battle bus. So I have on screen right over here. I switched this over to show you Antman. He's in Fortnite, and I got all these like little
Mhm.
screenshots. It's really cool having the video version because you can actually see the character model and stuff. So if I ever talk about a skin, I can like literally just Google it and just show it on screen. But yeah,
Is Epic Games paying you, by the way? Because they probably should.
yeah, they probably should be. I shouldn't be giving this out for free, but yeah, no. But I'm pretty sure by the time this posts, like Ant-Man will be removed from the shop. But Ant-Man was in the shop for like a whole week. So I'm pretty sure they'll be on to the next thing or whatever, since just the timing and when we record and when we post. But yeah, so whenever they debuted Ant Man, they literally like put out pretty much every Marvel skin in the shop. And if you ever like tabbed over, Dan, you could literally see all the skins that you could have just gorged yourself on and just spent like $100 plus on all those skins. I don't know if you saw them. Were you tempted when you have you even
Yep,
looked at the item shop whenever you're like
I did.
logging in?
Yeah, I've been looking at the item shop almost every other time that I log in, but I have not bought anything yet. I have some certain level of principles, Lewis, and my principles with this game is like that. I was finally, this season for the first time ever, I finally said to myself, you know what, I played this game a decent amount of times before. I want to play it more, and I want to see what the battle pass system is about. I want to see how it works and actually see it with my own eyes and experience it and see how I feel about it. And so I committed to spending the $8 or whatever it was to buy the battle pass. But then I told myself I am not spending any other cent other than that, unless when the next season comes out, then I might buy the next battle pass and stuff. Especially because I don't think I look at the prices of stuff, right, and I don't think $10+ for a skin, which seems to be the standard that most skins are above that,
Sometimes
is
20.
yeah, I don't think that's a reasonable value proposition in my opinion. I understand there's work involved in making the skin. I'm not sitting here and suggesting, oh, it's so easy. They
No,
just
but
threw this in the
I
game.
bet you
Like
it's
I know,
licensing though. Most of it's got to be licensing. So
true, true. Yeah, I was more thinking from like the work that goes into it. It's like I understand the work that goes into a skin, and I understand that it's not easy. That it probably takes multiple people to be involved, like animators and artists and effects and all this stuff. Probably over multiple weeks, and then there's
debugging,
probably
making
multiple steps
sure
of polish and
everyone
debugging. Like,
everyone can do the skin and emotes without crashing the game, kind of thing.
yeah, so I get that, but like $20 is the price of it's like a third of the price of a full AAA game. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot of AAA games after they're a few months out, you buy them for $20. So the idea of just spending that on like the small piece of DLC compared to the grand scheme of things is insane to me. So I've kind of committed to not do that. The thing that might push me at some point is if there's a skin that I really relate with, and then I already have enough V-Bucks from the battle pass anyway, where it's like, yeah, if I just add like $5, I can do it or something. Then that might be what would push me over the edge. I do want to give a little complaint here right now about the
Oh,
Fortnite store, though. I
okay.
didn't realize that this was the case before.
Okay.
The fact that not like, because I played, League of Legends before, and League of Legends sells skins, and with rare exceptions, you can just go into the store and all the skins are available at all times. You can just go and buy whatever skin you want, right? Like, and then they'll occasionally do special limited time skins, but the Fortnite store will just cycle skins in and out every day.
Daily.
So like, if a skin, if a skin is available that day and you want it, you got to buy it that day, because otherwise it's gonna get out. Like, it's not gonna be in the store anymore tomorrow, and then God knows when it's gonna be available again, if ever. So I really don't like that. I think it's really bullshit, actually, and I think it's kind of.
It's getting that
Go
lizard
ahead.
brain to like make you like get that FOMO. It's like if I don't buy it now, I won't get it. Like that kind of stuff. And
I know. It's kind of like the Nintendo strategy with the Super Mario's 35th anniversary, but much more extreme. Like, people were so upset about Nintendo doing that, and I know that it's different because it's an actual game as opposed to a piece of DLC, but still, Fortnite is doing that on the daily, and I don't think I've heard anybody complain about that yet. So I think that's a little shitty, but
yeah, and the special skins
I'm
like
still playing it a lot.
Kratos and Master Chief and Antman,
Hmm.
they're available for 1 week and then they're gone, and then they get the next special skin for the
Yeah.
week. So I think it's from Friday to Thursday, and it's kind of crazy. It's like we post on Friday, record on Thursday night, so sometimes I don't even know. So by the time I'm talking about the skin, it's already too late. So at least for this show,
Hmm.
anyways. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I literally held out for you. I was you like a year ago when the podcast started. Like I wasn't about that life. I was like, I'm gonna play Fortnite and I'm gonna play it for free. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I've been doing the math and I've been like doing $160 a month for like the past 3 months, and it's pretty.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I have a problem. But then again, they had all those Marvel skins and stuff like that. It was crazy. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, the skins are really cool.
so yeah, and that's Fortnite right there for you. Of course, this will not be the last time we talk about it, but I do want to move on to something else here because the big thing that happened last week is that Pyra and Mythra dropped. And I just got to say that I wanted to give some impressions about Pyra and Mythra.
In Smash Brothers, by the way. I
Yes,
know it's obvious, but maybe people wouldn't know.
yeah, Smash Ultimate, Pyra and Mythra DLC dropped, and I got the images of the fighters here below, right over there. And yeah, so I gotta say, they are basically doing the Zelda Sheik thing combo. That was originally
Hmm.
intended for them in Melee, because I don't know if you know this, Dan, but the character design, the way Sheik and Zelda were designed to be played in Melee, they were designed to be played together as one whole.
Wasn't that
Sheik,
the case in Brawl as well? Because I played Brawl first, and I remember that being the case in Brawl, where you would do your down B would switch between Zelda
yes,
and Sheik. Isn't it?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Melee was the first game that had transforming characters between two people, like in with a down
Hmm.
B. Brawl had, of course, Pokemon Trainer with Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard, and everything. But as far as like the way the characters were designed in general, they're designed to be played in tandem with each other. They're like two
Hmm.
halves of a whole kind of thing. So like if you think
Right.
about it, just Zelda and Sheik, the way they were designed in Melee specifically was Sheik was supposed to be your person that you rack up damage with. She's very fast, very low damage output. Like every hit it doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just fast and jabbing combo, like kind of like when a boxer they do jabs and stuff, and then they do like the heavy punches, like the slower heavy punches, like later on to finish a fight. So Zelda was supposed to be the heavy knockout character. She's slow, but her moves are powerful, and they hit hard. You know,
Hmm.
so the thing that the designers didn't realize is that Sheik was just plenty fine on her own. She may not be able to have like the heavy knockout punches and stuff like that, but she's fast and can combo into kill setups. So she didn't need Zelda to finish the stock. And so with this iteration with Pyra and Mythra, they basically did that, but did it better basically. So uh, Pyra is very slow and she just very slow. All her moves are slow, but every move she has just hits really hard. And Mythra, she's really fast, but all of her hits are like very weak, and her knockback power isn't really that good either. So she kind of has trouble killing in places. So you can just basically play off of each other and just switch between them. And on top of that, some people are already speculating that she could possibly be the best character in the game because Mythra just kind of wins neutral for free. She's really fast and can play a keep away game. She's got good reach. She's basically like Shulk but better. And the she also has a Bayonetta ability called Foresight, which she's basically got Witch Time and Bat Within combined into one move. When you spot dodge or dodge or roll, if you hit her during any of those frames, she can basically like trap you, and so she can do cool ass combos that can either she can kill by herself whenever she traps you, or she can quickly switch to Pyra really on the fly and then do a forward smash and end your life for free. So having played them both myself, they are pretty good. I'm not gonna main them, but they are definitely fun. I can see where the potential for like where they could be on the tier list is going to be pretty high, but at this point, the meta game isn't really been the meta game because there's no more offline tournaments because of COVID. But other than that, I just gotta say I'm pretty like like not I'm a little bit above lukewarm on them. So I think
Hmm.
they can slide into my rotation of characters. They are pretty fun. I think they're well designed and
Cool.
don't know if they're balanced. I haven't had enough time with them to like. Plus, I don't play with people like in person anymore. I only play online or with against CPUs, so it's really hard to gauge that as well.
I just realized while you're talking about this, one of the downsides of us doing the podcast on video is that I can't play on my phone when you go on a Smash rant. Um,
What a bitch.
no, I'm just giving you shit, dude. No, that was great. That was a lot of detail, and I can see how there was kind of after they changed the way that Zelda and Sheik works, people that maybe liked that play style from the previous games perhaps missed having a character like this. So it's kind of cool that they're kind of filling that gap. It even makes me wonder if that's kind of where the idea came from in a way. Like, hey, you know how we used to do this, and then when now we don't really do it anymore. Other than with Pokemon Trainer, which I believe on Smash Ultimate, it's back to the way. Because didn't Pokemon Trainer got changed and then changed back?
Yeah, in
Or
Smash 4, it was just Charizard because
there
they
you go.
wanted
Yeah,
to get rid of transformation-based characters. They wanted to decouple everyone. Zelda and she got decoupled. Samus and
yeah.
Zero Suit Samus got decoupled. Pokemon Trainer, it was just Charizard. Yeah.
Yes. It's interesting that they went back to that with, Pokemon Trainer and then now with these new characters. Like I wonder if there was like somebody in the company that didn't like it that then left or maybe Sakurai just changed his mind or something, I don't know.
Yeah, and the one last thing I wanted to say about Smash Ultimate is that all of the top tiers got nerfed in the latest patch. With every character drop,
Mm,
different characters get like buffs and nerfs and stuff like that. So this one was a bit hard to top tiers and stuff like that. But I doubt it's going to be one of those game changing or whatever. But it's really hard to say. I highly doubt all of a sudden Zero Suit Samus is no longer a good character or whatever. So
right.
unless that's still not the case anymore. I don't know. But yeah, so Dan, let's go ahead and move on. And I got to tell you this, like, I saw the doc in advance and stuff like that, and I saw the name of the segment, and I got to say, I didn't know what sound effect to pull out of my ass, so I didn't pull up a sound effect for this one. So
Oh, don't worry about it. I didn't expect you to. In fact, I think you surprised me before when you did that one, unwarranted, which
yeah,
was appreciated. But no, I'll think of something for this. So I had this idea for a new segment that I wanted to do on this show, and I think this goes all the way back to when we started the show. It was something that I wanted to bring in here and there, but then I never did. And then this year I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do it this year, but then I just never really had any subject for it that I thought was appropriate. But I wanted to have a segment called Behind the Game, where we can dig a little deeper and talk about something that's maybe not necessarily about games themselves or even the games industry, and more a little bit about game development and the process of game development.
okay,
Because I thought that one of the unique things that our podcast has is that it has a game developer, if I can call me that, on it. Because I work in game development. I'm not, a hugely experienced senior, important person out there. I don't claim to be. However, I do have a little bit of experience, and sometimes I know insider info that I don't talk about in this podcast because I don't want to screw people over or screw myself over, and etc. But I do know certain things that I thought maybe could be relevant or interesting to talk about. Um, Today, I wanted to bring in and to kind of kickstart the segment and do it for the first time. This tweet that I saw from a game developer. Her name is Jennifer Schurl or Curl. I don't necessarily know how to pronounce it, but she's a lead game designer at Inside BBI, working on Shipbreaker, on the game Shipbreaker, and she tweeted something that came up that is really important to me, and I know some folks disagree with that, but I want to make clear where I stand. I do not believe that playing games excessively is a needed skill to be a game developer, and I hate that advice giving to aspiring devs. I play a bunch of games myself, sure, but I do not think it is a requirement. I have worked with plenty of brilliant devs who are the antithesis to this myth. Can you analyze games? Do you know design principles, human interaction, behavioral psychology? That's the useful shit. So I thought that was like really interesting, and it got me thinking about that. And then first, because I don't want this to be a monologue. Let me ask you, Lewis, like, what would you expect? Like, would you expect people that work in games, or the people that are making the games you play, to be passionate gamers themselves, or no?
Yeah, I honestly would expect that. It kind of seems like it goes hand in hand.
Hmm.
The idea that
Hmm.
people or gamers would have a better insight as to what is fun or what makes it engaging or what's cool. I'd imagine that that probably wasn't the case during like the Pac-Man and Galaga days because it was a brand new nascent industry, and these are just adults that knew how to
Hmm.
program. So I think that was
Hmm.
like we're now at a point where the people that are making games have grew up with them and stuff like that. But I also heard evidence to the contrary. Like I think even like someone like Shigeru, I think I read in like an interview where like Shigeru Miyamoto went out of his way to like not hire people who are gamers, so that way you can get like fresh, innovative ideas from the outside perspective that people wouldn't, who are like
Hmm.
very like what's the word I'm looking for, like group thinking. Like they're caught up in group think that they can't think of something outside of the book. I guess when I
Yeah.
guess like what's that word? Labo comes to mind. I guess is what I'm thinking of, but something along
Hmm.
those lines. I feel like I make no sense. Take over.
No, no, no. That's an interesting way to look at it. That sometimes it's good to have somebody that comes from outside experience so that they can think outside the box. Occasionally, if you hire somebody that's from a different field and bring them into a new field, they can also have really bad ideas potentially just because they don't know how this other field works. I just think there's not like a monolithic answer to what game developers are like and whether they're gamers or not. But from my experience, the thing that I noticed is that um, while the majority, meaning more than 50% of people that work in game development, are people that like games and like to play games, there are those that don't. Now, I've never met a game developer that was like, and I should stress here too that I work at EA, but I'm not necessarily talking about EA. I'm talking about in general. I worked at a other developer previously, and while with that developer, I worked with three other different developers in a contract form. So, and then I also know a lot of people in the industry. I don't think anybody's working in games was like, oh, I hate games, or like just like being negative about the industry, or just like disliking the act of playing games. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. However, there are a lot of people that straight up just don't really have time to play games. And there are a lot of people that maybe used to be gamers in the past, but now they're maybe they're older and they have kids and household responsibilities and their job and all these other things, and they don't really play modern games anymore. And sometimes their experience with games is more about them playing something with their son every once in a while than it is really like being up to date with the latest big triple A game that came out last month or whatever. And the other thing too, so that's one side of it. But then the other thing too is that people think about, the kind of the game developer as a type of person, right? Like almost like as a stereotype potentially. But there's no such thing as just like a type of game developer. There is game development is the mix of a variety of different fields, right? It's not just one field, is what I'm trying to say in a very convoluted way.
Okay.
You got artists, and artists can be concept artists, they can be 3D modelers, then you got animators, you got riggers, you got, programmers of different types. I'm a UI programmer currently. And that's most of what I've done for a few years. There's gameplay programmers, there's rendering programmers, there's tech people, and there's QA and marketing and everything else, right? So you got design, and you got all these different types of jobs. And at the end of the day, each one of those is a job, meaning you may like it, you may be passionate about it, but it's still a job, which means that a job can be fulfilled by somebody that has the qualifications of that job, whether they are ultimately passionate about what the product is, or it being video games or not, right? So there might be somebody that is just a really talented rendering programmer and loves doing rendering shit, and is really good at their job. But maybe they don't even really play games. Maybe they don't have time. Maybe they're not just that interested. They have other hobbies, other priorities, but they're really good at doing rendering programming. So, your game will benefit from having them doing your rendering programming, as long as they're aware and following up with, the industry trends and what's going on, but they don't necessarily need to be a passionate gamer. So I just think that's an interesting, little window into game development, and kind of trying to break that idea that every single person that works in games is necessarily some like passionate dude that loves games and is obsessing over every new game that's coming out. Those types of people usually go more towards the maybe like the media side, I think,
Maybe
of
QA,
things, and
maybe.
become game what.
Maybe QA, probably, I would imagine.
Yeah, or maybe QA, or but I was more thinking, that I think those are the people that end up working, like at IGN or something like that, and not necessarily actually making the games. A lot of times, the people that make the games are more passionate about the field
Hmm.
itself. But there are plenty of passionate game developers as well. So I don't mean to paint it with a broad brush. Ultimately, I just thought it was an interesting conversation to have, and I think what I want the takeaway to be is like not all game developers are the same. And at the end of the day, it is more important to be good at your job than it is to be playing games on your free time.
Hmm. That's pretty fair. It's something. It's. I was gonna say it's something that people don't even think about. I think people just like naturally are like, what is that? That preconceived notions just sort of like filter in, and that's just like how people see the world as like a fact of life. And I think it's
Yeah,
really awesome that you
yeah,
shed some light
definitely.
on that as well. And I don't think
Cool.
we ever actually said it, but just in case, this was the name of this segment is called Behind the Show, because I don't think we ever actually said it. So
Behind the
hopefully,
game.
oh,
Yeah.
behind the, damn it! Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Don't
I'm
worry.
so,
I forgive you, Liz. You're okay. You're
behind the game. What the hell was I thinking? Anyways, behind the game, and hopefully we do this at least once a month. So let's go ahead and move on. It's time for topic of the show. All
okay.
right. So I think I've never actually said it that loud before. Anyways, I don't know, but we have an interesting, an interesting game to play here for topic of the show. And Dan thought of this, and we were supposed to do it back in January, but we kept having to like delay it because number one, it's a pain in the ass to set it up, and number two, we had so many topic of the shows already like in the schedule to, that it kept getting delayed and delayed. But now here we are in
Yeah.
March. So instead of like we have like 3 months of games that come out that are just basically I'm guessing they're no longer eligible for our games. So
Yep.
but it's okay because really like the first quarter was really a bit of a wash anyways, I would imagine, just for big games. Like I think there's really
Yeah,
only been
dude.
two, I want to say.
I wanted to bring this up, and by the way, when I give it back to you, we should go into what the segment actually is. But really quick tangent is like what a weird year this has been so far, right? Like there's like almost no big game release. It's like these last few weeks have been super slow as far as news go. It's like I told Lewis, we have top news coming later.
That bastard.
Previous episodes that we did of this. And the interesting thing too is like, let me make sure that I'm still connected here because it looks like
I will hang up.
okay. Hello.
There we go. All right.
I was gonna say that like the news cycle is so slow right now that I originally had something in the doc where it was a story that said something along the lines of a Microsoft exec says there are games coming out this year that have not been announced yet. And then I was going through reviewing the doc later and I was like, wait, why is this even a story? Like, this is so obvious. Obviously, there are games coming out this year that haven't been announced yet. So I ended up just completely cutting it. But, that's what we're dealing with here this year.
Okay. All right. So for our topic of the show this week, we're going to be playing like essentially what can be described as fantasy football. So with fantasy football, you draft your players and you sort of like keep track of their stats to give you like points and stuff for a game, and that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be drafting publishers of games to our teams, and we're going to see who gets like better review scores, and then we're going to be tracking it at the end of the year. We're going to come back and see who outdid who. So I feel like I'm at advantage because I get first pick, which it's gonna alternate because you get two picks and then all that stuff. So
I'll give you the choice. So like what I was thinking is this is how ranked games are done in League of Legends. Where one team goes first, and then the team that goes first gets the first and the last pick. But then the other team gets to pick two people at a time. Actually, no, I said that's wrong because it's 5. Yeah, so one team goes first, the other team goes last, but then they alternate picks of 2, which is a way to kind of balance out the advantage of going first, right? Yep. So, for instance, if you went first and you picked a Nintendo, then I can come up next and potentially say, Sony and Microsoft, and so I can almost like outdo you with those 2 picks,
right?
Potentially, despite the. So that's the idea. But I was gonna say, do you want to go first? Because there's an argument that the advantage of picking 2 is better.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I want to secure my number 1 pick, so I'm going first.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, not you. This should be like no surprise or whatever, but my number 1 pick is definitely gonna be Nintendo.
Wait. Should we go through the list of options first that I wrote down?
Sure.
I wrote down, like 20 off the biggest publishers that are likely going to be putting stuff out, big stuff out this year, and that's what we're going to be picking from, basically.
Okay.
So do you want to go through the list and?
Yeah, sure. You know what? I'm going to show you how the sausage gets made here, because Dan didn't want me to put the doc up on screen, but here we are. So here's our list of our lists of publishers that we have here, and these are in no particular order. Obviously, he just sort of like listed them out as he saw. But first was Nintendo, then it was Sony, then it was Microsoft. Okay. And he puts little bullet points here of like games that might be coming out this year. Some of them are in question marks. Some of them are like up in the air. Are they going to get delayed to 2022 kind of thing? So, So for Nintendo, he put like some notable titles of note: or Breath of the Wild, the Pokemon game. Was it Diamond and Pearl or Shining Brilliant?
Yeah, I couldn't remember when I was writing this, but there's actually multiple Pokemon games that could potentially come out.
Pokemon Snap is in next month, and then Shining Diamond and Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl or whatever, they're going to be the holidays, and then the Mario Golf is this summer, I believe. Sony Interactive Entertainment, they have Returnal as well as Ratchet and Clank and Horizon One World.
No, not that one. Horizon Forbidden West.
I know, I couldn't remember that.
Which is such a hard title to remember, dude.
I know, I couldn't remember it, so I was like going with my fan-made title instead. As we talked about it before on previous episodes of this very podcast, and of course God of War sequel, presumably God of War Ragnarok, if that lands this year as well. Microsoft Studios, including Bethesda and ZeniMax, they're going to have Halo Infinite out this year, hopefully. Hellblade 2, hopefully. Psychonauts 2, and Starfield. Maybe that one's a long shot. I don't think that's happening.
I'm
Um,
not the only one that's betting on that. Okay, I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm not the only. Bethesda Game Studios, they're not as slow in making games as people think.
yes, they
They're
are. Okay, and that's number one. And
they
number two,
haven't. Their main team hasn't put out anything in like 4 years, dude.
I know,
Like,
I know.
let's keep going.
And
Let's keep going.
I'm telling you right now, man. Starfield is vaporware. We're not going to see it to the end of the console cycle. Where this is
Oh
a Kingdom
no.
Hearts 3 situation all over again. Right
We'll see.
there.
We'll see
You
about
take that
that
to the
one.
bank. Next up was Electronic Arts. They got It Takes Two, the Mass Effect Legendary trilogy, as well as the EA Sports games. Activision Blizzard has Overwatch 2, as well as the Call of Duty game, the franchise. Square Enix has Balan Wonderworld, as well as Nier Replicant. What the hell? I don't know what that is.
It's. I think it's a sequel to a Nier Automata. So that's
Okay.
coming out this year.
Okay. Hopefully, also isn't Final Fantasy 16 supposed to be this year as well?
I don't remember.
It got it was talked about at a state of play last year for 2020, so I'm assuming it's a 2021 title. They showed footage
Mhm.
like big time footage and stuff like that. It didn't look
Yeah,
like.
it could be.
Number 7, we got Ubisoft. They got Prince of Persia, the Far Cry series, Riders Republic, and Rainbow Six, constantly getting updates. And then Sega has Human King, Rune Factory 5, as well as maybe a new Sonic game. I know they had like in 2020 they were supposed to do like a big Sonic franchise thing reveal panel, but then they got canceled. So hopefully they already got stuff in the oven. They just haven't announced it. Next up, we got Capcom, which they're looking to have a banger year because they got the 2 Monster Hunter games coming out. Monster Hunter Rise being the bigger one, as well as the everyone memeing on Resident Evil Village as well. Warner Brothers, they got the Gotham Knights, Back for Blood. That Back for Blood is Warner Brothers. What the hell?
I didn't know either, but yeah, they're publishing that game. Yeah.
Okay, I thought Hogwarts Legacy was delayed to next year.
I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
I was a lot of this I wrote down like out of memory, and then for some that I couldn't think of, I just looked up, like Warner Brothers upcoming games, and then whatever Google spit out, I just I just throw in there. Um, yeah. The other thing too is that I'm considering that since we're doing this in March, I'm thinking of this as a 12-month deal, Lewis. By the way,
Okay.
it's like anything that comes out after we record this show until the show where we record the follow up
Okay.
is fair game. And I assume that we're going to be recording the follow up probably early March next year, or maybe February or something.
Okay. That's fair.
So an early 2022 game could give us points, perhaps.
Okay. Okay. I mean that's fine because if delays happen into early 2022, we could still pull it off. Get some
Yeah.
Hail Mary passes. I don't want to go into the rest of the name titles. I'll just go over the publishers. But
Yeah.
the rest of the list is gonna have Bandai Namco, Take-Two Interactive, including Rockstar, the Embracer Group, which is part of THQ Nordic, and Deep Silver, and etc. And CD Projekt Red, which is going to have the Cyberpunk re-release for next gen, Annapurna Interactive, and Humble Bundle. Wait, Humble Bundle is a publisher? What the hell?
Yep.
I did not know that. I thought they were just a Steam competitor. Next up is 505 Games, and then there's Team 17, and then Koei Tecmo Games. So that's a total of 20 publishers. And you already know my first pick. My first round pick is going to be Nintendo, and I'm going to go with this because number one, Nintendo tends to have highly rated games on
Yep.
Metacritic just as a general rule of thumb. Like a bad Nintendo game is like 85.
Yeah, like
Uh,
Nintendo they have I think it's called the Nintendo Boost or something in Metacritic. That's like, like a 90 game becomes a 95 game if it's Nintendo or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
So number
That's
one,
smart.
they're really good at quality. They only like to make games if Shigeru Miyamoto deems it fun. That's number one. And number two, this list is very barren right now because Nintendo likes to play their cards close to the chest and like basically now likes to stealth drop and shadow drop games. Like suddenly a trailer shows up on their Twitter account a month before the game releases, kind of thing. So I'm assuming that we got at least one big AAA, possibly Mario Odyssey sequel kind of caliber game in the works, and especially if Pokemon Legends Arceus, if that's an early enough 2022 game, then hopefully that also
Mm-hmm.
gives me some points too. So yeah, that's
We'll
my
see.
my first pick.
All right. So I could have predicted that. Well, actually, I would have thought he would either pick Nintendo or Sony. Because I think
I'm
those are the two probably most obvious picks.
I'm questioning
But
their
since you
output this
picked,
year, by the way. So personally,
okay, okay, we'll see how many things they actually can get out and whether they're going to be quality enough. But I'm gonna go with Sony as my first pick. And then since I can pick two, because of the way that we're doing the draft thing, I'm gonna I'm gonna surprise a little bit, I think, and on I'm gonna bet on Capcom. Because I,
you
I do
bitch.
think Capcom is gonna have I do think Capcom is gonna have a very strong year. I think that the Monster Hunter and Resident Evil games usually review pretty well. I think Sony's an easy bet because it's most of the Sony first party titles are typically well rated with some exceptions. I expect Horizon to be a 90 plus title. I think Ratchet and Clank has a good potential to be a 90 plus title as well. And if God of War somehow came out during that time frame, that's likely as well. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. I'm going with Capcom and Sony.
You
You
took you
highlighting them for me right now since I highlighted yours?
Yeah, you took my next pick here. I was expecting you to go to Microsoft Studios for as your two picks,
Nope.
because I was thinking like Capcom is like literally like the like if it flies under the radar enough, I know that's gonna be like a surefire thing. So I'm glad that you saw
Here's the
it too.
deal with here's the deal. I'm using like, basketball court strategies here. Like when you're picking like your friends like to play basketball together or something in school. I know you're not going to pick Microsoft. So like even though I may want to pick them, then I can leave them for a little bit later.
See, the thing about Sony and Microsoft, like I I think their games, like even Microsoft, I think their games are going to review well enough. My question about them is whether or not like how many games are they actually going to publish this year, or whenever we calculate the totals. I'm like, I see them as like I see them as like these guys are going to be delaying games. Like Sony doesn't like to announce release dates. And
Hmm.
Microsoft, they're kind of fumbling with Halo Infinite and not releasing on time, that kind of stuff. Like I think that they're both in a situation where they can't promise when things are going to happen. They're just promising you that they're working on them. Like that's
Hmm.
how I see them, and that's why I don't want to. I'm not quick to just snatch them up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now we didn't discuss the rules too much, but I was thinking of this as like a fight of averages, right? So ultimately, a publisher that releases too many games, it might be that might work against them because it might be best to release like two really good games than 10, including like three really good ones and then seven okay ones. You know what I mean? That would bring down their average. So we can rediscuss the rules maybe a little bit later, but that's kind of what I was thinking of so far.
okay, all right. My two
Yeah.
picks here. I feel like I gotta secure the big three, one of the big three here, obviously, because Microsoft Studios is up for grabs, and yeah, I feel like they're probably gonna put out a Forza game, so that's probably like a shoe in. So I call dibs on
That's true.
Microsoft.
All
So
right.
Microsoft is my first pick here, and my second one here, I'm going to go with Activision Blizzard. Call of
Oh, damn
Duty.
it.
Call of Duty tends to review pretty um, it tends to like hold an average. It doesn't tend to
Mhm.
go down, or it doesn't tend to go up. It just sort of like it's here. And also, I know that the Overwatch, if Overwatch 2 does come out this year, then it's gonna be a banger. So I think that those are two solid picks.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I think you're right. Um, it's becoming almost like a little bit difficult now because a lot of these publishers is like we don't know their future like very well. And whether the stuff that's going to come out is actually going to be good or not. I'm I'm gonna go with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. Because I do think Gotham Knights has the potential to be a really good game, although it's a little bit of an unknown right now because it's multiplayer and they haven't really done that before, and I'm really hoping Back for Blood is going to be killer, but that's also not the kind of game that usually gets tense, but we'll see how that goes. And then I'm gonna do something a little weird here, perhaps, but I'm gonna pick Annapurna Interactive.
Oh.
They're a publisher of indies, but I feel like their games are pretty consistently good indies, if not great indies. And they got a lot of things coming out this year that people are looking forward to. You got 12 Minutes. Turns out it's getting published by them.
Oh.
Stray, which is the game where we play as a cat, it's getting published by them as well. So I think they have some good potential there to get a lot of eights and nines maybe. So I'm gonna go with that. Still, so leaving a lot of the big guys still in the open for you, Lewis, if you want to go for it.
Yeah, sure, of course. I gotta eat, but I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, okay, I figured you wanted to leave them a little bit to the later rounds and stuff. I think you might be overvaluing them, but at the same time, I will say that whenever there's like a E3 or a press conference, when I see the Perna Interactive logo do show up on screen, I do kind of like prop up a little bit because like I tend to think quality. Like my when I hear their like name, I just think of like Journey level quality things. Even though I don't think they had anything to do with Journey, but for some reason I just equate them.
No. No, yeah, I get that. They are kind of selective. They publish like between I think it's like between like 4 and 6 like indie games a year. And they're usually good. I don't think they've published a lot of stuff that's turned out bad. So yeah.
Okay. So for my next two picks here, I'm just gonna keep it very easy. EA. EA Sports games tend to be like high 70s, low 80s, and I'm sure the Mass Effect Legendary trilogy will be, well received and stuff like that. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm also expecting Joseph Ferris to bring it this year, so basically it's like not going to be like, oh my god, it's an amazing year. I think it's going to be a solid year, which is perfect for where we are as far as our draft picks. So EA, I'm scooping you up. And I'm also going to do the same thing here with Square Enix. I don't really feel too strongly about Square Enix, but I'm hoping. Well, actually, you know what? Does the Final Fantasy VII remake re-release on PS5 count? Because I'm totally gonna kill it if I'm gonna be slaying if I get Square Enix now.
It would count based on my rules. It would count if it comes out. So my rules that I wrote up here say that it only console and PC releases count. And that's just to make things easier when we consolidate the results later. And that if a game already came out in a console but it gets re-released in a different console this year, then that re-release counts as well. Now, if the game gets released in multiple consoles, so let's say it comes out on like PS5 and then Series X, and it gets, sometimes it gets multiple Metacritics for that, we'll just use the highest Metacritic, and that's fine.
All right. I feel like I feel like I'm killing it right now, but you're up.
We'll see. We'll see when the games actually come out. I'm playing the underdog game here. All right, so let me think this through. Ubisoft, I just don't really trust Ubisoft, dude. Like
they feel like they're getting.
I know that they'll be the next big one to get. Like, because I feel like a lot of their games are just Ubisoft puts out that kind of game that comes out and it gets like maybe like sevens and then nobody buys it or not a lot of people buy it and then it gets discounted a month later. You know what I mean? Like that's what's been happening a lot with Ubisoft lately. So and I don't know, like people are really excited about Far Cry 6, but then the Prince of Persia remake has been a little controversial. I think people are not too happy about where that's going. And I'm gonna pick Ubisoft anyway. I'm gonna be a believer today and say that they're gonna turn things around. They're gonna do well. And at the end of the day, maybe a new Assassin's Creed will come out still. Or maybe Valhalla will come out with a new SKU or something. So I'm gonna go with that. And I don't really think Sega is a good pick today, personally. With Take-Two Interactive, that's one that I'm thinking, but GTA 6, I put that with a question mark. That's not going to come out in this next 12 months. So I don't know really what else much they got going for them. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm just gonna go with Bandai Namco. Yeah, let me
Oh,
get that.
that was an interesting pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bandai Namco. Let's see if let's see what they put out. We don't know a lot of it yet. I know that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot came out last year, and that that apparently recently they've been putting like one Dragon Ball Z game a year, and they've been generally being good, good and up. And maybe they'll surprise with some of the other stuff. So we'll see.
And if Dragon Ball
Yep. Go ahead.
Fighters gets a PS5 update or Xbox Series
Yes,
X
that's true.
port, then you benefit. I'm gonna
True.
actually go with Sega on this one because I feel like Sega, they have Persona. You know, they can easily put Persona
I
5
forgot about that. I
on
totally
PlayStation
forgot about
5.
that. Yeah.
So fuck you, Dan.
Fuck. Fuck. I would have picked Sega if I remember that. I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot about
I kept
Persona.
my mouth shut and I was having a poker face the whole time. I don't know if you noticed, but I was just like, okay, yeah.
I'm not watching your video today. It helps
That's
me
right.
concentrate better. You're too handsome. You distract me too much.
So yeah, Sega, I feel like they can get some easy layups with some Persona games. They're gonna come out on Switch. I know they had some recent games that came out on Switch, but that doesn't count because obviously the timing. But I feel like you got Persona. You have Secret Sonic announcements that you haven't put out, and on top of that,
Mhm.
don't they also own like the damn it, what's the other franchise that's like Persona like? Damn it, Shin Megami Tensei. Don't they have like that?
Oh yeah.
So I know they have been. They've been, releasing stuff on Steam as of late, but they're not going to count for our competition. But generally speaking, I think Sega does have some easy layups
Mhm.
in the pipeline. Of course, none of this stuff is like publicly like announced yet. But that's not to say that these things can't happen on the fly.
Mhm.
So yeah, Sega. I feel like that's a safe bet. And also, I don't know how I feel. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go with Take Two Interactive. I don't know if I trust their output, but they have the NBA 2K game, so I
Wait a
hope they don't
second.
get.
Have they already released GTA 5 on next gen?
Nope, there has not.
That'll be a good one too. Like that's probably gonna give you some points there.
Yeah, but I how quickly can they port it? You know what I mean? Like there was like a story on
Yeah.
IGN about how it's not an easy job or whatever to do or whatever. They basically saying,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, we're gonna put a lot of work into it," and that just screams to me that's gonna take time. So,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Fair enough.
but yeah, of course it's gonna benefit me. Of course, if it does, if it's like the big holiday title for them, so which is easily
Hmm.
possible. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally. All right, so let's see what we have left here. And now we're basically down to the smaller, more like indie like publishers, our mid-level, like, the Embracer group. That's really actually multiple publishers that are under the same umbrella now. So I counted them together just like we would, like a game published by if it says the Pokemon company, that would still be Nintendo, or Atlas is under Sega, and etc. So I don't think I want to go with that though, because I feel like it seems like they're going to be publishing a lot of stuff this year, and I don't necessarily trust that most of it is going to be good. As far as I can tell, Devolver, they just put out a lot of random stuff too. I actually think I'm going to do a kind of like a dark horse bet here, and I'm going to bet on CD Projekt
come on,
because this is what
no, what the hell are you
here's
thinking,
here,
man?
here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they're gonna do a good job on the PS5 and Series X version. They learned their lesson. They're gonna fix all the bugs, and they're gonna release a Game of the Year edition at the end of the year for PS5 and Series X, and that is gonna have all problems fixed, and that it's gonna get 90s everywhere. And that's probably the only game they're gonna put out as a publisher this year. So then it's gonna, nothing else would bring down the average in that situation.
You
So
know,
that's what I'm gonna do there.
that actually kind of does make sense if I think about it, because I would imagine that the
Hmm.
PS5 and the Xbox Series X versions will have more in common with the PC version, and the PC version got rave reviews.
Yes.
So you actually might be onto
Yes.
something. So
And then I'm thinking here, I know Team 17, like I know a lot of the games that are reviewed at level 1 games is from Team 17. I know they have some gems. But I don't know if like the majority of what they put out is the gems or if it's like the majority is not good and then there's a few gems there. 505 games, I actually don't know as far as I could tell what they're going to be doing this year, but they publish Control and they publish the Death Stranding PC port. I got Koei Tecmo there. Also, is this my last pick, by the way? I think this is my last pick. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Because I said I decided on picking 8 games each so that we were not forced to pick all of them.
Okay.
Because I thought maybe we wouldn't want to pick all of them. You know what? I'm gonna bet on Humble Bundle. And actually also to answer your previous comment, that you didn't know that they made games. It's kind of new. They started publishing games relatively recently, I think a few years ago. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's my final pick right there.
All
and
right.
then you do your final pick right now.
Okay, my final pick is going to be the Embracer Group just because of quantity. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that one just because, like, I almost kind of want to go with Devolver Digital, but the thing is, like, I feel like Devolver Digital tends to be very quirky, and they tend to make like arcade games. So I don't know if that's really one of those kind of situations where it's gonna set the world on fire or anything like that from a critical standpoint. So I feel like with Embracer Group, I feel like they tend to, especially with just THQ Nordic themselves, I feel like they are trying to punch above their weight class, so to speak. So I feel like there could be a gem in there somewhere that just kind of like, maybe tries to set the world on fire for as far as like critical reception goes. So
All right.
yeah, that's our picks
Cool.
here. I have all our picks here on screen here, and
Do you want to just say the out loud,
Sure,
our final teams?
sure. So for my team, my 8 are Nintendo, Microsoft Studios, Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Square Enix, Sega, Take-Two Interactive, and the Embracer Group. Dan's picks are Sony Interactive Entertainment, Ubisoft, Capcom, Warner Brothers, Bandai Namco, CD Projekt Red, Annapurna Interactive, and Humble Bundle. So I just got to say that the Dan's just looking like he's going a little bit more quirky and stuff. I feel like you're doing that thing where like you're trying to be like what is it like the little is it the Little Rascals? No, not the Little Rascals. The the little giants, you're trying to make a football team of like the outcasts and misfits and stuff like that, and win that way.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, and then you just got like all the star players together that end up like just kind of hating each other and all fighting for for attention and stuff. Although I will say that like like Sony is my captain, and that's ultimately where I'm putting most of the bets on. I think that Sony games more often than not seem to review really well, kind of similar to Nintendo in that case. So while we don't know for sure about their output over the next 12 months, I trust that it's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be quality.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right, cool. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the news. Very slick, very fast there. All right. So for the news, we actually got a couple of stories.
Good job.
There's not a whole lot going on here. We've been having a slow news week, even on the Ready Play movies as well. So the first story that's up here comes from Xbox's official site. It says here it's talking about the official welcoming of Bethesda to Team Xbox. So during this past week, it was officially announced that the purchase that we talked about a couple of episodes ago, a while back, that the purchase is now finalized, and that all the regulatory commissions and they've all signed off that it's okay, that there's no monopolies and stuff like that in play. So the purchase is now final. There was an official blog post by Phil Spencer and Xbox and Team Xbox welcoming them to the team and everything. And I think there was even like a trailer made by Bethesda, like a little reel of all their projects and stuff and how we make great worlds and stuff. So they're really, I don't know, what did you want to talk about with regards to this story, Dan?
So people were running with this article a little bit because they were kind of trying to dissect it and see if they can find out, the answer to the question that everybody keeps asking ever since this purchase got announced, which is, are Bethesda games going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC or not? And the best thing that we got for that is something that's still very vague and doesn't say a lot. But it's on this quote right here. With the addition of the Bethesda creative teams, gamers should know that Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players. And then, a lot of people kind of read from this what they wanted. So, like, if you were in the camp that you believe that the games are going to be exclusive, they were like, oh my God, the games are going to be exclusive. And if you were in the other camp, you would say, well, they said some new titles, which means the big ones are probably still not going to be exclusive. So it just kind of keeps adding fuel to this continuous discussion of like, is Elder Scrolls 6 going to come out on the PS5? Is the next Doom game going to come out on the PS5? Is Starfield going to come out on the PS5? And the truth is, we don't yet have an answer to that question. But from my perspective, reading this blog post and then seeing an update on it that came out later, and I added a link here from Eurogamer, where it's just a quote from Phil Spencer, where, let me bring it up here. Obviously, I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is an Xbox exclusive because we know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through. That mostly refers to Deathloop, I would assume, and then there's another game that's also a PS5 game.
Yeah.
We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go and support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be either contractual things or legacy on different platforms that will go do. But if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building. And the creative capability we'll be able to bring to market for Xbox customers is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here. So what do you think, Lewis?
I saw a tweet, like a very facetious tweet on Twitter, where it's like, if a game comes out on Tuesday, then the game is exclusive to Xbox. But if it comes out on like on Thursday and on Friday or something like that, or Wednesdays and Fridays, it's also on PlayStation 5, and Switch can have every other Sunday and stuff like that. I don't know who. I think it was somebody at IGN. I don't know who it was, but I think that was really funny. And honestly, I've been seeing a lot of like back and forth about it. Fame even said it on the Double XP podcast on this very YouTube channel, that he said that you don't go out and spend $7.5 billion and not secure exclusives. So I think he has a point there. It really depends on what the business model is. Like, are you trying to sell subscriptions, or are you trying to sell hardware? Are you trying to sell software? If you're trying to sell software, go put it on PlayStation 5 and PC as well. Make money that way. If you're trying to sell hardware, put your game only on Xbox Series X and S. If you're trying to sell subscriptions, then I guess being exclusive also helps you drive up Game Pass numbers as well. So I don't know.
I feel like the interesting thing here is that they don't. I guess the way I look at it is that they don't need to make the game exclusive to Xbox to drive console purchases with the Bethesda titles, because there is a value proposition to having an Xbox, just based off of the fact that, like, hey, you can spend $70 to play this game on the PS5, or you could get it for free, in quotes, with an Xbox Game Pass subscription on your PC and your Xbox. So after you have enough games that people want to play that fall under that category, let's say in a few years there's 5 different Bethesda games that you want to play. That's already $350. At that point, the Xbox Series S almost pays itself, right? Like, you can get for the price that you spend on the games, you can get the Series S with the a year worth of Game Pass or whatever. So I feel like the value proposition is there to get an Xbox for these games, whether you make them exclusive or not, right? I could see them doing what I think they're gonna do is I think the biggest franchises like the Elder Scrolls and Fallout are still going to come out on PS5 at one time or another. It's most likely going to be after time of timed exclusivity. and I think they're gonna like they're gonna use the shit out of exclusive content, right? Like
Yeah.
this game is best on Xbox. I think
Um,
they're gonna do that for every game.
there's gonna be
Like,
like you can dress up Doomslayer as a Master Chief skin, and there you go. Like that's like the
yeah,
exclusive content
exactly.
you get there. So like it's the best version. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
I
that.
think the idea is like, go ahead.
I can see that. I was gonna say that like the like what they did with like Rise of the Tomb Raider. I want to say it was the second one in the trilogy, in like the new trilogy where they said
Mhm.
everyone was like in a tizzy because like oh my god, like Microsoft paid money to snatch up the exclusivity deal, but then it turns out it was just a 1 year exclusive deal. So it's like you got it a year later on PlayStation 4, and I want to say that
Mhm.
that could probably even work. I think that would be beneficial because you get to have your cake and eat it too. You put out your games exclusively first on
Right.
Xbox Series X and S. You can drive hardware sales. You can drive Game Pass subscription sales, and then once the market is saturated enough, then 1 year later you can have a re-release. You can basically market the game all over again, and
Yeah.
just basically have like a second wave of hype. So yeah.
Yeah. True.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next bit here. Now, this is one of those kind of situations where it could have just as easily been extra news, but you know what? I'm kind of digging it. I'll allow it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge announced for PC and consoles. It's from the creators of the Scott Pilgrim game and the publisher of Streets of Rage 4. So I feel like there really isn't much to say other than the story is it's a four-player co-op game. It's a beat 'em up, and yeah, I'm a fan of beat 'em ups, and the art style looks very much a throwback to like the Super Nintendo era of the game. So this feels like a day one buy for me, which is kind of crazy because I've been seeing some like backlash to the backlash where it's like, oh, you're all about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but where were you for Streets of Rage? Like that kind of stuff. So
Right. Are we seeing, Louis? Here's what I think is kind of interesting. I feel like from time to time we see like certain dead genres kind of resurge, and we saw that with 3D platformers a few years ago with Ukulele and so many other games coming out in that genre as well. We got that Snake game that came out on the Switch in the first year of the Switch, and I feel like there was a bunch of other similar things that came out around that time. We also had a resurgence of the Metroidvania in the last few years. There's like so many Metroidvanias now. A bunch of them were coming out. Then, roguelikes are super huge now as well. Between like last year and this year, it's like everything's a roguelike now. Are we about to see perhaps a resurgence of the beat 'em up? Because we saw, Streets of Rage 4 came out last year, and a lot of people loved it. I played a little bit of it. I thought it was really good fun. Scott Pilgrim just got re-released. I feel like I've seen a few other
Battletoads.
games come out in that genre. Battletoads came back, and now we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming back as well. That's kind of cool. Like we're getting all these genres that seem to be kind of maybe not necessarily dead, but perhaps only living in the more like indie space and less mainstream space. And now they're coming back to the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, I got the screenshot pulled up here on the video, and I just gotta say, this screenshot right here almost looks like if you just squint at it, it kind of sort of looks like it kind of sort of looks like it just came straight out of the arcade, like in the arcade cabinet. Like I can see myself playing, standing shoulder to shoulder when like when I was growing up on the Simpsons arcade. This looks like chef kiss right now. So just gotta say. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, just to answer the question though, I just got to say that yes. Well, actually, okay. I don't know about this one because like it feels like it's a wave, but also at the same time, it just kind of feels like it's like a fad and it can crash and burn and just kind of be forgotten about.
Mm,
I feel like this is one of those. It could just as easily be a flash in the pan, and I'll say this only because of the genre specifically. Like the reason why the genre died out is because this genre was made based off of an arcade gaming system where the point is for you to die and put more quarters in. And I feel like when
hmm.
you play this game, it doesn't really kind of have that same pizzazz when you
Yeah.
play it at home on a console. Um, I know that because I emulated the Simpsons arcade game at home once, and it wasn't as fun. Like it wasn't
Hmm.
engaging because I could spam a button to like put a quarter in. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of interesting because even with Streets of Rage 4, I was like, this game is cool. Like the mechanics are are everything, the animation is great. But I played it for like about an hour with my wife's brother when he was visiting. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like I didn't feel compelled to go back to it. I didn't feel compelled to beat it. To me, there didn't seem to be a point to beat it, right? Like it's not like there's a it's not there's not this big challenge that I'm trying to overcome. There's not this world that I'm trying to explore. There's not this a level up system that has hooked me because of it's like gotcha like mechanics or whatever. There's not a story that I want to see through. It's like it feels like it. You're right. This genre feels like it lacks something when you compare it to more modern video game genres a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, which I'm glad it's having its heyday, by the way. Like I'm not
Mhm.
complaining either. I just know that there's a limitation to this game, especially with current modern gaming sensibilities and stuff like that. So, uh, but yeah, I do want to play the Scott Pilgrim game. I still haven't bought it, and this is one of those games where it's like I want to buy this game as well because like I own like the Ninja Turtle games on the NES and the Super Nintendo. But those are both limited to just two players. So I would love to if ever I had like friends over to the house, we can all like just get on a couch, couch co-op, all play
Mhm.
together. And having a big screen TV and four wireless controllers is much more convenient than bumping shoulders with people at an arcade cabinet and stuff. So yeah.
True.
All right. Next up is going to be regarding Marvel's Avengers. The developer clarifies the XP progression changes, and fans remain unconvinced. Now, I saw this story last week, and it was hilarious. Like, I read their quote, and the quote just contradicts itself, but whatever. Anyways, Crystal Dynamics admits it caused confusion. So there was an update. Crystal Dynamics has now clarified that how XP progression will change in Marvel's Avengers, accepting that it had caused confusion in its first announcement of the move. On Reddit, the official developer account for the game wrote, "Quote: We did not change XP to increase grind for grind's sake. Our initial blog was not comprehensive enough to convey what we were doing and why, so we caused confusion. We get it." In the clarification, the developer explained that the progression curve will mean that players level up faster than before at low levels and will take longer than before at higher levels. It's estimated later levels will take 2 to 4 missions for each level rather than once or more per mission, as can happen in the current version. More powerful enemies will also offer additional XP, further incentivizing fighting them. In all, Crystal Dynamics expects that reaching maximum level with heroes will take around 3 to 5 hours longer than before the changes. So I gotta say that I'm not buying it. It just kind of when they were giving their statement, they were saying that it's about not confusing or overwhelming players with too much like skill tree points and stuff. And that contradicts itself because if they're making it faster on lower levels, that actually is what they're talking about. It would be more confusing in the early game because you're new to the system. So if you're a new player, so
True.
that literally does not jive. And
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like they are increasing the grind for grind's sake. So what do you got for me, Dan?
I feel like yes, they a fact is a fact. They even say it themselves that it's going to take around 3 to 5 hours longer to max level than it did before, right? I wouldn't necessarily say that it's for grind's sake though. It's more there is something to be said about how there's a balance, right? There's a balance in these games about how fast you level up and how much gaming you actually have to do to level up. And that leveling up fast, although it usually is what you want when you're playing these games, it's not necessarily the right thing to do, right? Like you want there to be a balance so that the player feels compelled to keep playing longer and therefore doing more things in the game, and so that they have to try harder and think harder to continue to level up the more they play the game, right? Which is why at the point where I'm at in Fortnite right now, for instance, where I'm level 60 something, the best way for me to level up is to look at my quests and see the quests that give the most XP, and then try to get those done, as opposed to just kind of playing the game and leveling up by accident as I did in my first few levels, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's not necessarily bad for them to go, hey, we feel like one of the issues with this game is that people are maxing up their levels too quick. and you know it's not engaging. We want them to like maybe have to try a little bit harder to get there and to have to think a little bit more and you know get more engaged within the quests of the game or whatever. So I can see kind of where this change came from a design perspective. um they just clearly don't seem to be doing a good job at presenting it and explaining why it actually makes the game better. And the other thing too is that you know you never want that. That's the kind of change that you want to be the footnote, right? Like that kind of change should be the you know when you go to the Smash patch notes and then you find out all the little details about the things that they did. It shouldn't be like the headliner, right? So I think that's the main problem here is that, and I don't know if that's Square's fault or if you know it's the fault of the people that ran with the story, but the truth is that the XP change became the headline when that should never be the headline of a major update to your game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just wanted to say to add to that is one of the criticisms that I was reading up on regarding the Avengers, you know, adding the grind, is that it actually kind of it could make the game less fun because people
Hmm.
say that in the early game because you know when characters are like low level, it's very button mashy for combat. Like the combat doesn't open up until you get to the later part where you're closer to maxing out because now you have more moves and more expression and the combat becomes more fun. So you're basically
Hmm.
literally like withholding the fun by like, you know,
Hmm.
gatekeeping these or making the grind harder. So I feel like if you want players to not, you know, get these bad early impressions that this game is very like basic and not very engaging and, you know, very just press square and square for attacking and stuff like that, then you're doing it wrong. You're not leaving a good taste in the mouth of gamers. Is pardon the phrasing there, but yeah, just saying as a general thing, you don't. I feel like there's something is not being you know something's not happening correctly here in like the Zoom meetings of Square Enix or Crystal Dynamics is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So
Fair enough.
all right, so next up here is the Nintendo Switch Pro here. So the new Nintendo Switch Pro will have some exclusives, especially from third-party developers, insiders say. Oh, that is a really beautiful, cool mock-up, by the way. I don't like the Joy-Cons, though, but that screen is sexy. The Nintendo's rumored new Switch model for now, called the Nintendo Switch Pro, will have some exclusive titles that won't be playable on the current Switch models. That's what the industry insider Nate Drake wrote in a thread dedicated to yesterday's Bloomberg report on the new Switch model. Although there won't be many, the upcoming Switch Pro is said to get a select number of games exclusive to the new model, especially from third-party partners. The insider didn't reveal which titles these will be, but did tease that he knows of at least one. Quote, there will be some select exclusives, especially from third-party partners. Okay, it feels like this article does repeat
It
itself a
repeats
lot.
itself a lot.
All right, let's
Yeah,
go ahead and stop right
definitely.
there. I wanted to say that this news does not surprise me at all in the least bit. I will say why. Because the Nintendo DSi had exclusives. The new
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch, or not, sorry, the new Nintendo 3DS had like Xenoblade Chronicles and like the SNES Virtual Console, as well as a plethora of other exclusive titles like Minecraft and stuff. So when you get like the new hardware iteration, even if it's in the same family of systems, you're not necessarily going to be guaranteed that you're not going to have exclusives. If anything, games like Minecraft can't run on the 3DS as is like the base 3DS. It needed that extra CPU power and RAM that the new
Hmm.
3DS provided in order to be able to run. So I'm imagining that developers are going to be like, well, you know, um, something like Apex Legends is kind of like struggling to run. You know, let's just forget about that SKU and you know update to the better SKU with better performance, and then we're good. So I'm not surprised, and if
Hmm.
anything, I welcome my new corporate overlords.
You know, the interesting thing about the story is that at first glance is like, well, that's not even a story. It's obvious that it's going to get exclusive games. Otherwise, what would even be the point of the better hardware, right? But you know, previous history, as much as it showed us that that is the case, it's also showed us that it's maybe not,
Yeah,
because the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, I'm pretty sure did not get any exclusive games, even to this point when they've been out for many years now.
correct.
And when you look at the new 3DS as an interesting example, it did get exclusive games, but the new 3DS was in the market for many years too, while the 3DS was still relevant. And I think it only got, under five exclusive games for it. So it does, I think there is still a question up in the air of whether the Switch Pro, like, is it going to be like one of those upgrades where it has very few exclusives throughout a long stretch of time? Or, is it going to be more like a sequel console that has backwards compatibility where, maybe for a few years, a few games are still going to be coming out for both. But at some point, it almost fully replaces the Switch to the point that all the new games are coming out for the new console. Maybe by, if this thing does come out in 21, like, by 2024, are all new Nintendo first party games going to be, Switch Pro games only? So I think that question is still up in the air, right? Whether
Mm.
this is more of a new 3DS situation where we're going to have a handful of games that are exclusive to it, or if it's going to be more more similar to an actual console upgrade.
I feel
So
like I feel like
only time will tell.
this is a situation where we're talking about like the Game Boy Color, because some people even to this day are confused as
Mhm.
to whether or not the Game Boy Color was a next gen Game Boy or in the Game Boy family of systems. You know what I mean? Even though their
Mhm.
Game Boy Color did have exclusives,
Yeah.
by the way, so it did have a little bit of extra like RAM or whatever, and things that the regular OG Game Boy couldn't run. So I want to say that's kind of like I feel like having it be ambiguous is probably going to be better for Nintendo as far as well, we're Nintendo. We can optimize the shit out of our games anyways. So we're going to continue supporting the OG Switch. But if Activision needs to run COD on the Switch and they can only do it on the new Switch, then okay.
Mhm.
I think that's probably better for them.
Here's my, I'm gonna do a little prediction. My prediction is that for the first 2 years of this thing being out, we're gonna see very few exclusives, and probably not any first party exclusive unless we're rare exception, like maybe something like Xenoblade, right, which is not a mainstream first party exclusive, but that by the end of the current generation of consoles, meaning before PS6 comes out, the majority of games will be exclusive to the Switch Pro. That's what I think.
So yeah, it's like a slow phasing trickle thingy. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's
Yeah,
what
so
happened with the Game
I
Boy
think it's
Color.
like I think we're slow. It's going to be a slow fade into what is really the next generation of the Switch. So
Okay. All right. Next up is regarding the Denuvo on the PlayStation 5. This comes from Kotaku. Uh, it says here on the headline, Denuvo anti-cheat is part of the PlayStation 5 middleware. So, digital rights management company Denuvo has long been controversial in the PC market, where it also offers anti-cheat services to interested developers. Denuvo just announced that its anti-cheat technologies have been added to the PlayStation 5's tools and middleware program. This means that anyone releasing a game on the PS5 can make use of Denuvo anti-cheat to thwart would-be cheaters in their games. Interestingly, Denuvo said as part of the announcement that a number of PlayStation 5 launch games already made use of its anti cheat, though it didn't specify which ones. Interesting, interesting, interesting. All right.
so I gotta admit, Lewis, I didn't know anything about what this even was, and you were the one that added it to the doc.
Ah,
So do you have any more insights into why let's say why is this relevant? Because I just don't know anything about Denuvo.
oh, okay. So Denuvo, it's people have been harping about Denuvo a lot on, especially on the PC platform, like on Steam, because Denuvo doesn't necessarily known for its anti-cheat. Denuvo, and when I think of Denuvo, I think of its anti-piracy
Mm.
settings and stuff like that. It's used to make it so you don't pirate the games and stuff like that. And what ends up happening is because Denuvo is like embedded into like the file of the game and kind of like entwined with it, and it tends to like use up resources on your PC to the point where it actually affects performance of your game. Like resolution drop, frame rate drop. It's impacting the actual performance of said game. And when publishers or when hackers or modders get into the game and eject Denuvo out of the game, suddenly the game runs better. So
Interesting.
what people are like concerned about is if Denuvo is coming to the PlayStation 5, that what if it's going to affect performance of games and stuff like that. And it doesn't seem like, just based off of this story, it seems like they're working more on the anti-cheat side of things. I know PC tends to have cheating problems like Fall Guys and Fortnite and Call of Duty. There's a lot of like aim bots and stuff like that happens, that kind of like permeates through. Like PC tends to have more cheating problems than consoles. So so the fact that this is happening is a little sus, because it's like you're already, the console space isn't already known for cheating, but two, it's really cool that they're going to do that, so that way they can
Mhm.
publishers can better manage and lock accounts and kick people out of
Yeah.
the service and stuff like that. So I think it's fine. I'm just going to be concerned about just performance and stuff, so hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that's unfounded. I don't know, but just throwing that out there as a story.
Okay, cool. You can go ahead and restart the call if you need to, by the way, while I while I say my piece. But basically, oh wait, if you do that, then my audio's not going to come
Yeah, that's
through.
right. All right, here, I got this. There we go. All right, you can go.
Cool. So basically, this is just from my understanding, this is just a new tool that's now available to the developers of games that are coming out on the PS5, meaning that it's not necessarily something that it's embedded in the SDK to a point that they can't just disable or not use it. So I still think it's going to be ultimately up to every developer to decide, like, hey, you now got this option to use this to at your disposal. Is this something that you want to implement in your game or not? And here's how you do it. And in fact, the fact that it was added to the middleware to begin with means that developers are most likely asking for it, because the way that these things go is that Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, the first parties, they don't typically just go, oh, you know what? It would be really cool if developers had this and then add it in there. It usually means that they're talking to these developers, including first party developers as well as third party developers, and asking them like, hey, what did you wish you could do on the PS4 that you can't? As they're even developing and R&Ding the PS5, and then they learn all these things, and that's where a lot of the new features of the consoles come from. And that includes not just the forward facing player features, but also the back end stuff as well. So that's probably where it came from. There's probably third party developers out there that are already making PC games that already have this stuff incorporated into their game systems, that wish that they could have it into the console versions as well. And now that's something that they can do with a PS5. So yeah, I think it's mostly a positive story at the end of the day.
Okay, damn. Then that's why you get paid the big bucks, because you're a developer and we didn't know this. Is like people have been making a hubbub about the story, by the way. So um,
I don't think it's a big deal.
all right, let's go ahead and move on to the extra news. Number one, Animal Crossing: New Horizons Build-A-Bear Collection coming soon. Number two, the live-action Dynasty Warriors movie trailer revealed. Okay, that's news to me. Number three, Super Nintendo World grand opening set for March 18th. Number four, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is getting a new expansion called The Warrior of Hope, centered around the alternate timeline with Trunks and Gohan versus the androids 17 and 18. Number five, the Nintendo 3DS repairs are ending early in Japan due to the parts running out.
Which we already covered on the last episode, by the way.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
throwing that
yeah.
out there.
The last episode we covered was the announcement that we have, by this date, we're cutting off all the things. They actually ended it
Oh, I
before
see.
that date. It's ended earlier
Oh,
than said date. Uh,
damn.
so because everyone's getting, oh shit, I got to get my repairs in, and then oh, we're out of parts, we're out of screens, we're out of circuit boards. Number six, Square Enix is presenting an event on March 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific time featuring Avengers and Tomb Raider news, among other things. So, yeah, there's definitely, usually we tend to have at least 10 things in extra news. It kind of feels, it's so weird seeing extra news be this small, by the way. But
Yeah.
nothing here tickles my fancy. I don't really have anything to say on any of these stuff other than, I don't know, I don't really have much to say.
I'm kind of excited for the Square Enix event. I want to see what comes out of that, because it came out of a tweet, and they have a little image promoting it, and it specifically says Tomb Raider's 25th anniversary. So it made me realize, oh shit, there's another game that has a flagship anniversary this year as well. I actually think 25 is bigger than 35, which that doesn't make sense mathematically. But
It's because it's a
as far
quarter
as it
century.
being a
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a quarter century. I just feel like it feels a little bit more special. 35 is just because you're counting celebrating every 5 years. So I think that I'm hoping that they're going to announce a new Tomb Raider game. I think that would be cool, but we'll see. Like that ship might have sailed with Crystal Dynamics now doing Avengers, and
Well,
I
didn't
don't
they
know
have
why has
another? There's an
Eidos.
yeah. Isn't there
Yeah, it's
another developer
Eidos
that did
Montreal.
the one Tomb Raider game that that people didn't really too much care about, but it was kind of like in that same I don't know, but
Yeah, Shadow Tomb Raider. It was made by Eidos Montreal, and it released in 2018. The previous games had been Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and Human Revolution. They've also made that Thief game from 2014. Um, yeah, maybe they could be working on a new Tomb Raider game. That would be cool. I also think there was a rumor a while ago about how they were going to make a Tomb Raider game to bring together the new franchise and the old franchise. It was like the missing link in the timeline that would connect like both the current trilogy and the old games. So I
nice.
want to see. I wonder if they're gonna explain, if that is what they're doing. I wonder if it's gonna explain how her boobs turn into triangles.
Nice. So I just gotta say, like, as
All
far
right.
as the Super Nintendo World story, I do know that Game Explain on their YouTube channel. I know we're not doing check this out, but check out Game Explain. They apparently had like a
All right.
private tour. They had a private tour of the Super Nintendo World, like all the days staying there for a couple of days. So they got impressions on their YouTube channel. I have not seen the video. I think it was like a longer video. So I'm excited, and I'm also kind of like I was, this Super Nintendo World had many grand opening dates set and stuff, but COVID happened. So hopefully, I mean, since March 18th is literally a week away, hopefully they, things go smoothly and it's not like any super spreader event or anything like that. All right.
Yeah.
So Dan, I believe it is now your turn or your time to take over the show.
What are you buying?
All right, let's go through our new releases here for the upcoming week. We actually got a lot of games being re-released, and I picked, 3 titles here, the ones that we haven't talked as much in the podcast before to read the blurbs for. So let's get through it. Starting with Crash Bandicoot 4 coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch on March 12th today when you were listening to this. Then Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, the remastered game that came out for other platforms last year, is hitting the Switch on March 16. The hit RPG returns from the minds of the best-selling author R.A. Salvatore, Spawn creator Todd McFarlane, and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion lead designer Ken Roston comes Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning remastered with stunning visuals and refined gameplay. Re-Reckoning delivers intense customizable RPG combat inside a sprawling game world. Then we got Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 4, coming out on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC, coming out on March 16 as well. I just wanted to read this one up just because the title is just insane. Cross is Super again. The official video game of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship is back with its 4th edition, the most extreme ever. Make your way along the path that will lead you to success. A new career mode will put your abilities to the test in order to bring out the champion inside you. Learn new riding abilities in the future category, refine them and obtain new sponsors in the rookie category, become a real pro by taking your riding style to the limit and challenging the toughest adversaries in the 450 SX class.
I feel like we read this before, didn't we? Read like I remember talking about a Monster Energy Supercross on a previous show. This one,
I feel like we mentioned it, but I don't think we read the blurb. Now, you do make me wonder though. Like, did this game get delayed
yeah,
potentially, or something could
probably.
have happened? Yeah.
Okay.
Then we got a game called Moon Down coming out on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on March 16. We got RBI Baseball 21 coming out on Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android on March 16 as well. Samurai Showdown is hitting the Xbox Series X and S on March 16. Same day, Saviors of Sapphire Wings and Stranger of Sword City Revisited That must be a Square Enix game or something. Coming out on the Switch and PC. And then on March 16th as well, there's a lot of games coming out that day. Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse coming out the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I've been hearing a lot of talk about this game since it got announced like a few weeks ago, which is why I wanted to bring it up here, even though we haven't mentioned it yet. Be the Zombie, kick ass, and take brains. It's 1959, and the city of Punch Bowl, PA, is a beacon of progress and ideal living. Show the living that law and order are no match for a dead man on a mission. Your boyfriend's back, Maggie, and Punch Bowl is going to be in trouble. That's a weird sentence right there. Eat brains, chomp on the living, and replenish your bodily arsenal of zombie sputum. That sounds gross. Gut grenades and the stunning, unholy flatulence.
Wow, farts.
Possess SpongeBob's population. Clamp your severed hand to a barbershop quartet singer's head and ray gun away. Build your zombie horde. Convert your enemies into undead allies and lead a zombie assault on the living. Bring civilization to its knees. Show the retro-futuristic city of Punch Bowl, Pennsylvania, that they can't escape the past. Stubbs and Chill. Invite a friend to play as Scrubs for classic couch cooperative hijinks, friend not included.
I've heard a lot about this game. Like, you know, people always play like the zombie apocalypse games where you're always the survivor. You're always like the one left for dead. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's an interesting role reversal where now you're the zombie and you're trying to build and expand your horde and you're trying to like bum rush all these survivors, and I think that's really cool. You know, it's an interesting.
Yeah, reading the blurb for this game makes me think of Destroy All Humans. Which recently had a remake as well. So
yeah.
All right. Well, then on March 18th, we got 3 releases here. Jack Chiang coming out on the Switch, Maglam Lord coming out on PS4 and the Switch, and Marvel's Avengers coming out on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S.
Does this count for me?
Good question. Well, I mean, it does theoretically come out after after this podcast post. So I'm gonna say yes.
Nice.
So I hope it reviews terribly.
So I feel like pick of the week. I don't know. It feels like maybe Stubbs the Zombie, pending reviews and stuff. But my initial gut reaction wants to go with like the safer bet and call Crash Bandicoot for like the pick of the week.
Yeah, true. I hear really good things about Kingdoms of Amalur. I actually I want to play that game. I have the original game on the 360, so I wonder if I can put that on the Series X and whether it's going to smart delivery the remake. But I don't think, or the remaster. I mean, but I don't know if that's how it works. So maybe not. All right, Lewis. Let's move on here.
Okay.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
So it's time for a Broke Gamer's Guide on the Epic Games Store. The free game this week is Surviving Mars. It will be free until March 18th. The time has come to stake your claim on the Red Planet and build the first functioning human colonies on Mars. There will be challenges to overcome, execute your strategy, and improve your colony's chances of survival while unlocking the mysteries of this alien world. Oh my god, dude! Like, this game is giving me flashbacks to a game I worked on.
Oh.
Not in a programmer capacity actually, but there is a game called Take on Mars, where you play as a Mars rover, just like exploring Mars, and it's like this very nerdy game. It's all about kind of like learning about all the different craters and things in Mars and etc. And I worked on translating the game to Portuguese, so I was a part of a team that was localizing that game, and me and a friend of mine, actually, Victor, shout out to him. We did the Portuguese translation of the game. So that totally makes me think of that.
The art style looks very,
for the upcoming.
It looks kind of basic, but also I was gonna say it kind of just the general like Red Planet vibe gives me the vibe of what's that game that got the big patch? Damn it! Help me out here. It's the one where the PS4 was.
Yes.
It's
yes, exclusive. The game that No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it reminds me of No Man's Sky for some reason, just in general. But yeah, sorry to derail you. Go ahead.
Good point. No worries. I was just gonna say, and then the next game allegedly will be The Fall, free from March 18th through March 25th. There's also an extra free game here, it seems, called Gravewood High. Get the early access demo for this infinitely replayable stealth horror.
No, thank
So
you.
that's pretty cool over there. And then I only got a few deals to talk about here. Obviously, this one is not really a deal, but with Bethesda's acquisition by Microsoft, they are now adding a shit ton of Bethesda games to Xbox Game Pass, effective immediately. Which it's kind of cool that they had their ducks in a row to be able to drop this as they announced the finalizing of the acquisition. So I don't think some of these games were already there, but I believe 12 of them are getting added. But there will be a total of 20 Bethesda games on Game Pass now, and the games are Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom Eternal, Doom 64, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Prey, Rage 2, The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, 4 Oblivion, and 5 Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls Online, The Evil Within, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, and Wolfenstein: Youngblood. Isn't that crazy?
What is it?
That's a lot of games.
Isn't there supposed to be a Colossus game in there? The new Colossus? Yeah, whatever.
There's one of the that's the interesting thing actually. So think about the games that were not added. And I wonder why that's the case, like whether they're planning on trickling them down later, or maybe they're gonna come in like a remastered format of some kind or whatever. But yeah, there's a game called Wolfenstein 2: The New Blood, I believe. That hasn't been included. The first Rage game hasn't been included either. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of others. I mean, there's the old school Fallout games are not here either. Maybe they're just not playable on the Series X, but I would be surprised. So yeah, pretty cool. Lots of new value being added to an already pretty great subscription. Then this one, is kind of a quick deal for the people listening to this right now, because I think this is only going to be active until this Saturday. If you're watching us on YouTube, this might already either be done or be about to be done. So if you're watching this on the day that we post on YouTube, you might want to go check this out right now. March 10th, which was yesterday as of the recording time, is Mario Day, just because of the abbreviation of March 10 is Mar 10, which looks like Mario. So in order to celebrate, there's 4 titles that are on sale in multiple places. They're on sale on the eShop, but they're also on sale, I believe, in Best Buy and a few other locations. They're typically $60 and they're retailing for under $40 right now. And these games are Super Mario Party, Super Mario Maker 2, Mario Tennis Aces, and everybody's favorite Mario game, Luigi's Mansion 3.
Those bastards didn't put Mario Odyssey in there. They should have been 5, but whatever. I'll let it slide.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing that I feel like, if you ask people what's your top 3 Mario games on the Switch, that what's your top 3 games on the Switch that feature Mario, since they're playing with the definition here anyway, there'd probably be Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and Mario Maker, right? So they got Mario Maker, but then it's kind of odd that that the other choices went with Luigi's Mansion of all things, and then Mario Tennis Aces. But regardless, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a phenomenal game, a Ready Press Play approved game. So you should definitely get that if you haven't yet.
Yeah, at least
Mario
Mario
really likes
is in
Mario
the game.
Maker 2 as well.
At least Mario is in the game.
Yes, it is.
So
A little bit. It's not playable.
yes.
And then the final deal to shout out here is that the game Immortals Phoenix Rising is currently $25 on Amazon for any platform that you want to get it on. I mean, the game is just 3 months old right now, and it's getting that good, nice little Ubisoft sale. So the game that typically retails for $60 for $25, I think it's a pretty good deal. And then I'm gonna leave it there. A lot of the other deals are kind of repeats from previous weeks and things that we've seen before. So that's all I got for you guys today.
Okay, awesome. So it is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at readyplaynetwork.com. Damn it. Or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Chakalaka88, and Dan
at the Dan Lima.
So don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. See you next time.
See ya.